Hello everyone. So I wanted to do more with Tenyi, but I also wanted to change things up a little bit. So today is a December 2019 Tenyi Yang Zing deck profile, but using the OCG ban list. So these are all English cards, but I'm using OCG-legal cards and ratios of those cards. So firstly, let me say that Tenyi and Yang Zing, apart from both being worms, don't have a lot of synergy. Besides cards like Shaman, which is the link to, these decks don't go exceedingly well together, but I do have both of these decks, so I thought I'd try them out casually, versus friends and family. And that said, even though they don't go together exceptionally well, with the OCG legal cards, I have won games or come much closer to winning games than I otherwise could have. So 3 copies of Ashuna. So this card in the Tenyi strategy is pretty important because it's a plus. So you can banish it from your graveyard after you used it as material for Monk to special summon from the deck and get that extra presence on the board. 3 of Ashuna. So another important one here because it's a bounce if you control Monk or Berserker. 3 Adhara. So this is another important card too because it can bring back any worm. So the Tenyis or the Chi Wen, which is the level 1 Yang Zing tuner after it banishes itself. 1 copy of the lesser Tenyis. I feel that Nahata is the best of these because there's a large emphasis on battle in pure Tenyi or pure Yang Zing, so lowering attack is helpful. For the Yang Zings, keep in mind that you're probably going to be normal summoning or setting these to get the first one of these on board, or maybe discarding one with Shaman and then bringing back that same discarded Yang Zing if you controlled another worm in your graveyard. So I feel like Chi Wen is the most important because it's a tuner and it's also a plus. It helps you go into the synchros, and pretty much any level appropriate combination of monsters in this main deck can get you pretty much any synchro because they're almost all of them are generic or just require worms. So these have floating effects. So a decent turn 1 board might look like Berserker and then Flawless Perfection, maybe a synchro, maybe a counter trap, and then maybe one of these to have kind of just that extra secondary strategy on the field as a floating backup. And also, Bishi, this word means, it's an archaic Chinese word for legendary tortoise, so just observe the picture. So, Beckoned by the World Chalice, Flambeau Guard. So 2 normal monsters that you special summon off of Unexpected Die. Just a free material on board, and also helps you with your Tenyis because you can still use the Tenyis banish effects. 2 Gamma Seal. So I'm running this card because it's the lowest attack kaiju. It can pretty much go in any deck. Helps you have a chance going second. And just tribute their Omni Negates or their Floodgate monsters. And finally for the monsters, 3 Max C. So this card can really turn the duel around, especially if you overextend early on. When you discard this card, your opponent is stuck with the tough decision to either do nothing or to special summon heavily and then load up your hand. So a lot of people, they may run Called by the Grave or Solemn Strike or just play stun decks, which would be unfortunate if you're playing Max C. But still, Max C can most of the time help turn a losing duel into a standoff, or a standoff into a win. So spells, 3 Vessel. So this dumps any worm, so put Chi Wen in the graveyard sometimes. So you can bring it back when your other Yang Zing is destroyed. This search may not even happen, or it may not do you too much good because you may not have any non-effect monsters on the field. But you can sometimes search Ashuna if you control Berserker or Monk. 3 Unexpected Die. It's just a free special summon. Helps you go into Beckoned by the World Chalice, which is actually an Earth monster. So that plus Adhara equals Nat Beast. 2 Flawless Perfection and a Terraforming. So this card is really only useful with Berserker Link 3. It kind of feels dead when you don't control that Berserker. But as I said in my pure Tenyi profile, Berserker plus Flawless Perfection is really one of the key Tenyi strategies. So I felt if I'm including Tenyi in this deck, I had to include it. 1 World Legacy Succession, so just to be searched with Justicia for an extra summon, and then finally a Harpy's Feather Duster. So this card really enables massive battle damage in 1 turn, because a lot of these monsters, they do have high attack. Clearing out all back row with a single card is really devastating to back row decks. It's an amazing top deck, and it's definitely an example of an OCG legal card that makes this deck stronger than it otherwise would be. For the traps, 9 Pillars and Fists of the Unrivaled Tenyi. So I thought bumping either of these cards to more than one would be a mistake, seeing that the theme of this deck is split in two, and it's possible to see the wrong Omni Negate at the wrong time. So I thought I would save space for the next card. 3 Solemn Warning. So OCG can play 3 copies of this card, and while it may not stop all spells like Judgment can, or traps, it can also stop Monster Reborn and Scapegoat. Anything that special summons, so at an LP cost that is actually less than Judgment. It also stops non-inherent summons like Rituals and Fusions, so a little more and a little less versatile in different ways than the other Solemn cards, but you can still negate the normal summon. You know, if you're going first, you set this card, they go second, you can negate their normal summon for an LP cost that is less than Judgment. Extra deck, 3 Monk. So if you have a handful of Tenyis, you can go through 3 of these in one turn. So play 3. 2 Shaman, so this brings back Tenyis or Yang Zings, so you can link climb, you can synchro, under Shaman, and then 2 Berserker. So this is why Flawless Perfection is in the deck. So not great arrows, but hopefully you can synchro summon under Shaman and then climb into Berserker. So Herald of the Arc Light. This is Graveyard Interruption as well as an Omni Negate. There is a combo with Herald and the next card, which I will get into in just one second. So 2 Dung Long, which actually means lantern in Chinese. So this card is a generic level 5 synchro that allows a lot of decks to splash a Yang Zing engine into it. So you add the counter trap upon summon, you dump Chi Wen, then negate an opponent's card with the counter trap, and then pop Dung Long with the counter trap. Special summon Beyond from the deck using this card's effect, as well as the Chi Wen that you dumped from the graveyard. And then using Beyond's effect, you can quick sync into Herald of the Arclight for another negate. So it's a double negate for a relatively small size engine that can go in pretty much any deck that can run level 5 synchros, because this is generic. 1 Justiciar, so to search Succession, and then sometimes special summon Beckoned by the World Chalice too. 1 Nat Beast for spell decks. This card, it pretty much goes in any deck that can, if you can run this card, if you can make this card, you want to run it. It takes up a slot. Yadza, as well as Basha. So just more ways to trigger the Yang Zing floating effects. And finally, Draco Berserker, which is an interruption. And I'm actually thinking about running this card in Pendulum Magician. So that's pretty much the Tenyi Yang Zing OCG Banlist deck profile. I hope this was an interesting variation on what my videos normally are, because I am including OCG cards. So thanks for watching. Have a good one.